we're still facing trade frictions. Some of the trade impasse has been resolved with some countries in the United States, not so much with China and the United States. Obviously, you know, your country, a lot of other European partners are worried that this escalates and gets into a full global trade war that does nobody any good. As the president now descends Air Force One, he says, trust me, we will solve this and this will all be the better for it. Do you believe that?
Well, I had the pleasure during the recent UN Ministerial Week of talking to the President about trade, and he clearly knows a lot about it. He has a lot of the figures in his head. He doesn't like cheats in the international system, and I think we agree with him on that. But in Britain, we like to think of ourselves as archetypal free traders. It's always been important to Britain. It was back in the 19th century. It still is in the 21st century. So we like to fight back against protectionism. We hope that the G20 meeting you're mentioning that the President will go to, we'll hope they'll be able to take some more steps against protectionism. It's not to say we don't agree that organizations like the World Trade Organization don't need reforming to reflect the modern economy, but we really want to raise that standard for free trade. It matters to us all.
You know, ambassadors, we're watching the president here arriving in Paris. Things have changed in the less than 2 years he's been president. He was an unpopular figure in Europe when he came in. He remains a globally divisive figure, but he's certainly more popular than a lot of his European counterparts now, including Emmanuel Macron, whose approval rating is now in the mid-20s. And I'm wondering what you make of that and what Europe now makes of this president who heads one of the most successful economies on earth and firing on all proverbial cylinders. Do they credit him? Do they look at the midterm elections we had, kind of a split read on American power and who has it? What?
I think it's fair to say that Europe doesn't always understand America as well as it might. The converse might also be true.
Right.
But because we face...
about Britain.
Well, we think of ourselves as a special friend of America, and we definitely think of America as a special friend to Britain, not just because of the world wars, but because of all the security cooperation we've had since. The American economy, soft power, competitiveness, it's a very important beacon in the world. We would like to see
friction, right? And Ambassador, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we're getting a tweet from the president. I don't see you tweeting too much, by the way, but maybe that.
I tweet a bit, not as much as the president. Not as much.
The reason why I mentioned Ambassador is the president apparently angry at President Macron of France, saying and has suggested, talking about him, that Europe build its own military in order to protect itself from the U.S., China, and Russia. Very insulting. This is coming from the president. But perhaps Europe should first pay its fair share of NATO, which the U.S. subsidizes greatly. So they're not going to be off to a great start, it would seem.